The movement to advance financial literacy education has failed. Over the last 3 decades, we've really seen no progress. Yes, some states implement or require a 1-semester financial education course. It's too little, too late, and no state even meets minimum education standards. To me, it seems common sense. Every child should graduate with the skill sets they need to get a job or earn income in some fashion, entrepreneurship as well. And they should know how to earn, manage, save, and grow their money over time. Basic fundamental skill sets, and yet they're not being taught that. We, as a society, have a moral authority to protect these kids. The financial markets are more complex than ever before. Decisions are more complex. Home ownership's out of the reach of many youth. And with AI and this new technology, there's a lot of job displacement and changes out there that these kids are nowhere near prepared for. So it's time. It's time to escalate and increase the rigor and increase the adoption of financial education in our school systems and through other channels. Now, our focus here and what this video is about is our 6-prong approach to increasing the velocity and adoption of financial education. Yes, we will talk about legislation as one of those prongs, but there's 5 others that I think can be real needle movers for this industry. 2 in particular, I think, have the opportunity to really advance this in a very quick and succinct way, and they haven't been addressed in this manner yet. So we're very excited about this. This is accumulation of a 1.5 year work on these various issues and trying to find unique ways to address financial literacy gap in that will make a quicker impact to protect youth here in the near term. Now, I'm going to cover those 6 areas, but before I do, I want to let you know we're not just saying, hey, these are the 6 areas. We've built out processes, procedures, resources, materials to actually conduct this advocacy. So with each of these campaigns, there's contact lists, there's infrastructure, there are resources and things in place to roll these out. And we're going to be rolling these out on a time-based agenda, one every quarter. Maybe a few might be a little closer without a quarter, a couple months, but overall 1 a quarter. And we're going to be mobilizing people behind one specific agenda item each quarter. So we're very excited for that. And today's video is really meant as an overview on our various items that we'll be addressing. Each quarter, you're going to get a detailed education on each of these areas. We do want people that can talk about these agenda items from a very high level of understanding. You'll get resources. You'll have access to our board meetings so you can understand when the rollout is, and we'll coordinate launches with each of these. So this is just a high-level overview of each of these 6 areas. But the first one I'm very excited about. I think this stands a chance of being an immediate needle mover, and up until now, it's been completely ignored. And there's a huge opportunity, which is declaring financial instability a public health emergency. To this date, it hasn't been done, and there's a case already made for us. So fortunately, we just put 2 pieces together. One piece was, hey, is money and health related, right? We had to put that piece together, but the CDC did that for us. They have an initiative called the 2030 Healthy People Initiative. And in there, they outline the 5 social determinants of health. There's 5 determinants of health. In every single one, money is the top contributor to that social determinant of health. So they've made the case for us, which made it very simple. Second, public health emergencies have been used for a variety of reasons. It's not just COVID and monkeypox and natural disasters. It's for other things as well. Opioid crisis, the red algae bloom in Florida, up in Chula Vista was for a waste management issue. So they've been used for a variety of ways. But when we look at the impact of financial instability of this country, it would actually be the 2nd largest public health emergency in terms of dollar costs annually and in terms of number of people reached, obviously behind COVID, if you remember that. So we've built out a solid case for this, and fortunately, it's not just on the federal level we can tackle this. We definitely are going to be targeting the federal level in the Department of Human Health and Human Services. We're also targeting state level governments and local areas. All three of those levels have the ability to declare a public health emergency. Obviously, we want to declare that on a national level, but they're all our fallbacks. We've made the case, we've written the letters, we've written sample legislation and other things that will help us do so. And really, when we look at the size and scope of financial instability, it's causing major problems. And there's a proactive, and also costing taxpayers a lot of money to the tune of over $1 trillion a year. That's a major impact on taxpayers. So we've made the case, we've built out the promotions and resources, and that's going to be the first one we're leading with in this campaign. And I think this has a potential to be a massive needle mover, because when a public health emergency is declared, things happen quickly. People are mobilized, funding comes in there, infrastructure is built, and things roll out very quickly. They take things like that very seriously. So that's one of our big ones. We wrote the public health declaration, wrote white papers on that, and we have promotions and other marketing that tie in health and financial instability. It is a major impact on people's overall health in terms of mental, physical, and emotional health. Next is our second campaign, which is elevating standards in financial education. If you've been around and been following us for a while, you've been seeing the work we've been doing with reviewing every state mandate. I've personally reviewed every state mandate on YouTube. I do in-depth breakdowns of the state mandates, and we compare the state mandates with 12 basic minimum education standards required by other topics, math, science, English. No state comes close to meeting minimum education standards. They leave out basic components like having a trained educator, having graded projects. These are simple things. Having vetted curriculum, clear testing, standalone classes. These are basic things that every other class enjoys, yet financial education is treated like some random workshop. So from the awareness perspective, we're continuing to do our reviews and updating our reviews. I'll tell you this, the state with the highest rating was under 30%. That's 30 out of 100, right? They didn't even come remotely close to meeting those minimum standards, and no kid will graduate. So we're trying to raise awareness for that, because it's a major problem plaguing the financial education industry. It makes us all look bad, and we need to elevate the standards that they're teaching. We have a few other documents coming out comparing information versus education, and in reviewing those state mandates, highlighting what they're doing is not education. There's no state that has a financial education program. There are states that have financial information programs, and there's a distinct difference. So on the awareness level, we're raising awareness through those types of campaigns. We're trying to combat a lot of the rating agencies that are giving these states A ratings when the material's horrible. These kids won't graduate with any skill sets they need to make even near-term decisions. So we're trying to combat that, and also hold these states to higher standards, hold legislation to higher standards. We're also leveraging this for the next thing we'll talk about, which is legislation, but that's a big focus. And how we're supporting these schools is also equally as important. Again, we just don't want to raise awareness for the issues and the challenges and the problems. We've built out solutions as well. We have a policy guide and framework for people on the legislative side and the school administrators that will help them outline their programs based on research-based education methodologies, the same methodologies they're using for math, science, English, right? The same standards. And we're just letting them know how this aligns with financial education, taking those same principles and applying it to financial education. We also have very comprehensive standards that we built out with over 100 experts in the space for educators, learners, and just frameworks for teaching personal finance. So the standards one is going to likely be our second campaign we're rolling out in preparation for the third campaign, which is focused on legislation, right? And again, there's a problem with legislation. It takes a long time to go through. You have a 2 to 5 year process to get through typically. Any votes that are needed, working with the politicians, getting that through and shaped up. Then it has to go through committees, funding committee, education committee, not these other committees that they have. It's different in each state. And then it rolls out to the school administrators where there's a delay. Each of these things get watered down and things lost that are important. And it just takes a while, but we're still going to tackle that as well as a long-term strategy. And we're focused on 3 key pieces of legislation. And we're not just going with one, because what happens with legislation, the hardest part is getting the meeting. And if you just have one piece of legislation that doesn't align with this politician's idea or what they're trying to promote, you won't get that meeting, right? But if you have multiple things that are different ways to tackle the same problem, it increases the chances to get the meeting, and they can dictate the focus. And our first one is to lead up to the meetings, we actually have a campaign to increase voter demand for this. So it's a campaign to engage targeted communities. So when we're reaching out to people in the legislative field on different areas, we've already have some ground force and some reasons that will appeal to that politician, which is voters, right? That's always important to them. So that's how those campaigns start. And then we have 3 distinct pieces of legislative drafts we worked out. One is the most comprehensive piece of legislation for financial education in elementary and high school. And what that's called is the Financial Empowerment Education Act. And basically it outlines that elementary school should have financial education principles ingrained into every single year of their education. Basically, elementary school is a place where they're learning numeracy and literacy. It's very simple to integrate. When it gets to high school, they're having 4 years of dedicated, what we call FLEC subjects, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and career readiness. That's just basically means they know how to earn money, save, manage, and grow their money, right? And we've made a case for that. That's legislation piece 1. The second one is targeting colleges in the undergraduate years. Right now, there's a big upheaval. People aren't happy with the college system. If we look at people that truly benefit from college, it's about 1 in every 4 that attends college that actually receive any benefits from college, and that's a problem. So you have these kids graduating, and just the numbers on that, you have about 35% that drop out, right? So they go to college, drop out, they maybe get student loan debt, drop out. You have another 45 to 50% that go to college, earn their degree, and a decade later, they're in a job that doesn't require a degree. They're underemployed, and that college investment did not pay off for them. So the hope of college, back 30, 40 years ago, it made people stand out. Today, it's nothing. And the fact of the matter is the first 2 years of college, it's a wasted years for most people. For me, it was. I had to take more math, more science, more philosophy, the stuff I didn't even care about. While the classes I took just because I was interested on real estate and other things didn't count toward my undergraduate degree. So what we're saying here with the Higher Education Empowerment Act is that the first 2 years of undergraduate years should mandate 4 full semesters or 2 full years of FLEC subjects, because that's going to be the stuff that benefits them truly. It's amazing to me that we have these people that graduate with a finance degree that have no idea about personal finance. So we're tackling that from an undergraduate on the college level. In addition, there's a third way we're attacking this with the federal government, because right now the federal government lends out money to little kids under 18 years old, 15, 16, 17 federal student loans. You don't need a parent co-signer. You don't need to prove your ability to repay. And we see the harsh consequences of repayment of student loans in the future. Those 3 things I just listed are the hallmark of predatory lending. You can't lend to little kids. You can't, credit cards, all these, you can't do that, yet the federal government does. with the student loans where they don't need a co-signer from the parent, and these little kids are on the hook. And we're not proposing, hey, ending that, because typically these younger kids that are going at an accelerated rate through high school, they're smart, they have opportunity. We want them to continue, but we're saying they need to go through an intensive financial education program and prove their abilities to make competent decisions like a seasoned adult would before they take on student loan debt. I don't think that's unreasonable. It's kind of like what happens when children are emancipated. If a child can prove to the judge that they can take care of themselves and make good qualified decisions, great, you can be emancipated. Same thing with federally backed student loans. Right now they're predatory because you can pick any major and get a student loan. If you want to pick basket weaving major, you can get the same amount of initial loans to start college as somebody that wants to be a doctor. So there's a problem there. So those are our three legislative pieces we're rolling out with. Again, it gives us the ability to talk to these different people in the legislative side on the issues important to them. And we see a lot of people gravitating toward college reform. So we added those last two pieces. Those will be rolling out here very soon, and we're excited for that. Our fourth pillar really of this is public opinion. Right, and for those of you that have been around for a while, you've seen a lot of our focus has been there. We put out a lot of data for media and also advocates. You may have seen our financial illiteracy cost survey. That's been on front page USA Today, MSNBC, Market Watch, all those. We put out our financial literacy test results annually. Those are both annualized campaigns. So we do a lot of surveys and data for media and advocates just to raise awareness for this issue. We also do some general public awareness in the past. We did a lot more. We tied in celebrities and different people for PSA campaigns and so forth. We're going to get back to that. There's some delay there with what we're doing. We're getting back to that as well here on this new outreach. In addition, we've been pretty consistent with engaging families and community members in the education process of our youth. For some of these things like legislation and so forth, it's going to take a while, so we need to really get parents involved. So we have various tools that parents can use, and a lot of our advisory board members and graduates have great tools for parents to teach their kids about money, and we're trying to raise awareness there. In addition, we promote various campaigns like Take Your Kid to Work Day, the Halloween Cash for Candy campaign. All these things are more interactive that bridge in the community into kids' financial education. So we'll continue down that path. I won't get too much into it now. We've been doing all those for a while. But the fifth pillar is stakeholder collaboration. This is very important for everything we're doing. So we're mobilizing people at set times toward common objectives. When we do these campaigns, let's go back to policy. When we're reaching out to Department of Health and Human Services on the national level, and mayors and city council members on a state level, directors of health advisory boards on a local level for that policy reform, which is focused on declaring financial instability a public health emergency. We're not having people do it at random times, although they can. We're mobilizing people in 1 week to target set people. Okay. The reason we're doing that, if you get an email, 50 emails over the course of the year from various people saying one thing, you may miss that, right? Just because emails get soaked up, and these people in the legislative community, these influencers, they get a lot of emails. So if we condense that into a period of 1 week, they see 50 emails in a week versus in a year, it helps get attention to it and put that top of mind, right? And that's the goal. So the big key with our mobilization is getting things top of mind. So we have our National Advocacy Committee, which is the United for Financial Literacy Advocacy Committee. And many of you are in this already. If not, please join. There's no cost. We encourage you to participate. And we're going to be, the Advocacy Committee is how we're pushing all of these objectives, right? And what we're doing, we're providing them all the contacts, the processes, procedures, the emails, the letters, the social media, the things that they can do to get involved without having to create anything. It's all there for them, plus the training and everything. So all that's in there because we want to mobilize people on a national level. Now, we may target one specific community, right, if we think we have an opportunity, but we'll direct them in that way during that. And those resources are available to them anytime as well. On a state level, we have our state advisory board and our state chapters. We just released our 8-state chapter of Georgia. We're going to expand that significantly here this year. The first 8 state chapters have helped us quite a bit target state-based initiatives. We're going to continue down that path. And of course, we do a lot of things on the local level, which is helping groups build and scale their own programs, right? We want to get them in position so if there is that massive policy change with public health emergency, they're in position to grow and scale a quality program. If we do get legislation coming through, they're there. And if it doesn't, they are still there helping and serving their community. So we're addressing this at national, state, and local levels. And then finally, we have another huge missing component. Again, most of the financial education advocacy you see out there is focused on legislation. But you don't need legislation in most states to change what is taught to kids at school. A good example is Mississippi. There was no legislation. It was the school administration, and I believe it was the Department of Treasury that said, hey, let's implement that, and they did. There's no legislation, no mandates. They just did it, okay? So that's a big missing piece. And what we're trying to do is help there's a lot of, I talk to these high schools all the time. I just had a conversation with a very big high school, one of the most popular private high schools out there, and they are tied on what they can teach because they had to teach religion, so they had another subject, so it was even harder for them to implement financial education. But the reason being is because of outdated college admission standards. College admission standards are tying the hands of those school administrators and other people that want to bring financial education in. They just can't find the time. So we have a very comprehensive campaign to address college admission standards, direct outreach, public opinion, and so forth. But the basic component, there's 5 topics back in 1892 to 1894, the Committee of 10 outlined for high school. Math, social studies, science, English, and foreign language. Those 5 topics. Fast forward 130 years later, it's the same 5 topics. Same 5. We have AI. We have flying cars. I got food delivered by a drone the other day. It took this wire down, delivered my food to my backyard. Times have changed. College admission standards have failed, and they're handcuffing our schools, high schools, and even elementary schools that want to make a change. So we're addressing those barriers, and that's one of the barriers we're addressing. There's a few major other barriers to entry, but we think this could be a big needle mover for us as well. We've introduced the concept of FLEC, Financial Literacy, Entrepreneurship, and Career Readiness, which is basically, how do I earn money? How do I save, manage, and grow money, right? Pretty basic. We took on that brand because STEM was very successful. STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Really all it is glorified science and math. That's all these high school kids get, but it sounds good, right? So we're taking them on head on, and we're just copying their branding in a way that shows, hey, that FLEC subjects have a true value to 100% of students. STEM subjects, you're looking at about 6.9% of jobs out there by 2035, I believe it is, that will be STEM jobs. Right now it's 6.4% today. So the growth is there a little bit, but it doesn't represent a huge growth to focus over a third of students' time on science and math. Financial literacy and the income side, career and entrepreneurship, impact 100% of students. So we branded that to do a few things, to bring successful entrepreneurs and business people into this, to bring in career planners, and to really help people understand that financial education is more than just the management side, it's also the income side of things. So we have a few implementation campaigns. That's more of our awareness campaigns. And we have implementation campaigns that include direct outreach to high schools and colleges. We built up a massive database of school administrators, curriculum developer, academic departments, faculty senates, curriculum committees. We have all this built out, and we're going to be taking the same approach, mobilizing everybody to address these specific issues at set times. But again, those are the 6 ways we're tackling that. I think most of those are unique with legislation. We're doing that, which is the only way financial education advocacy is really tackled today. We have 6 unique ways. I think we have several big needle mover options. Again, we are fully committed. Myself, the NFEC, we're fully committed to making a difference. I am taking personal responsibility. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to me now. Okay, I lost my patience. It's very common sense. Every kid deserves to know how to earn and manage their money. Common sense. I don't see who could argue with that. And we want to make this happen, and we will make this happen. I think we have some big needle movers here, but it will take you. It will take us. It will take us all working together to collaborate, to bring people in, to force the hands of these policymakers to make changes that will truly benefit our kid. I want to see kids graduate self-sufficient. I want kids to graduate on the way to their dreams, not on the way off of their dreams. And I think we can have a much better society with that. So I look for your involvement. I thank you. And each month, each quarter, you're going to get details on the campaigns we're doing at that time. So stay tuned.